Hi, family. I'm Brenda.
Hey, Brenda.
Definitely a grateful recovering addict, And Avia was talking about my walk. Now, in November, October, end of October, November, I was walking with a cane. I had a pretty blue cane too. You know what I'm saying? And that came from sitting on my butt, laying on my butt, not working them bones, and they got tight, and then you make a certain move, they pop. Hey, but I'm on it now. I got my swag back. You know what I mean? I am just so grateful and honored to have been asked to share my experience, strength, and hope at this event. As a matter of fact, I'm honored to be invited anywhere today, And I know there's a quote that I love quotes, and by Mark Twain. He said, there's two important days in our life. And the first one is the day I was born. And the second one is to find out why, and doing service work, sharing my experience, strength, and hope. That is my why, and that's what I'm here for. And my topic is spiritual growth, and I can just go on and on forever with that. Now, for me, I know that there's two spirits, the good and the bad. Now, when I was serving the bad spirit, I served it well. My discernment, there was no confusion about when, how, and why to get the next one. No confusion at all. I did what I had to do to get it, and serving that spirit so well, I would do any and everything, just to keep it moving, just to keep my addiction active, and just to keep me more crazier. I would wake up in the bed with men and women, husbands and their wives, and three-legged mules, the whole thing. I did whatever I had to do to get the next one, and thought nothing of it. I was really deep in denial. I fed that lower spirit well, and coming into recovery, when I first got here, of course I started in AA. I was listening to Vito earlier about how when NA got started in Brooklyn, in the Bed-Stuy, East New York, Fort Greene, in those areas. I heard it was in Bensonhurst somewhere, but we didn't hear about it. But I know in the early 80s, it started, in those main areas, and at that time, I got clean in 77, and this was like around 82, 83, or something like that, But anyway, when I got here, I did basically what I was supposed to do, what was suggested for me to do. One thing that I did not listen to, that was relationship. I found my man in treatment. My purpose was not being in treatment because I had a drug problem. I just didn't have a place to stay. Never thinking of why I didn't have a place to stay, okay? So how I got to the Salvation Army, it was me and these guys. We were committing a burglary at a Chinese laundry, and I was the lookout girl, and I was always zooted. I was always high, but I'm the lookout girl. And of course we all got busted. And, and I, did a little time on Rikers Island, and stuff like that. Now, when I came out, when I was in there, they had 12-step program coming in. I wouldn't go. Why should I? I had no problem with drugs. My problem was, wow, the Vietnam War. I am not a veteran. all those outside world issues was my problem. If this, if that, you know. So when those program came in, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go to any program. I just did what I had to do and got on up out of there. And when I got up out of there, this was in 76. When I got out of there, I had me some old men. I always share this in my story. And I think about my husband today. You know, my husband is 76. I'll be 71 Friday. And my husband is 76. And he was the type of old men that I gravitated towards. You know, the kind that got the checks on the first and the third. You know, I let them guys go to them, let them feel my leg, you know. And I used to think that when I was using, I was really sexually active. And I heard another speaker, I think that was Joe from Colorado, was talking about that, hey, you wasn't good as you thought you was, you know, or something like that. But I wasn't as sexually active as I thought. I was sexually willing, but a lot of the guys couldn't get there, you know. So these old men, all they had to do was just feel my leg, you know, and stuff like that, and it was okay. And you know, they kept the drugs coming, and then later on, I would rob them for the rest of the money. And every month, this went on. They knew it was going on, and every month they would let me do this. So it was this blind one. That's the one that opened my eyes. I never forget, he's the one that opened my eyes. Joe Goody never got in recovery. He's dead now. If he ain't dead, he got to be 180. And because he was about 70 then. And wow, he was old man. I said, old man, and I'm 70. Wait. I mean, he was mature. Okay. And so I had just came home. I had a kitchenette, and I would go to him. He was one of those old men. I would go to him. I went to him this particular morning to get high, and we had some Thunderbird. I went to the store and got that, you know, started off, and we were sitting there drinking, and he had his glasses on, had his glasses off and everything, and we sitting there. I'm sitting across the table from him, and I'm looking at him, and he got the mucus, the green mucus stuff in his eyes because he hadn't, you know, cleaned his eyes. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at him. It's like, wow, you know, just making me sick, you know, just to look at him. But after a few more drinks, you know, and stuff like that, you know the deal. It didn't matter, you know. So I'm sitting there constantly drinking, and he's constantly sipping, meaning my glasses always on the east side. So my plan, I always had a plan. My plan was to steal some of his drink, okay? Because he's got much more than me. So when I got the opportunity to pour some of his drink in mine, when I picked up his jar, we never used glasses. When I picked up his jar to pour some in mine, it was circled with spit. Okay, the same kind of greenish yellow type stuff that you got to hunk up to get out. Now, I ain't heard this man do no hunking, so I don't know how he got this spit in there unless he pre-did it, you know. But anyway, I looked at the drink, I said, wow, you know, light bulb goes off. Brenda, alcohol killer of germs, right? So down it went. Now, drinking that was not my problem, not my biggest problem. My biggest problem was taking it, because once I took that man drink, he got up, and I always say, I do believe that that particular moment, he regained his eyesight long enough to whip my butt. I got a scar right here from Mr. Joe Goody. Mr. Joe Goody cane. He had that cane going here, there, and everywhere, you know. And I'm trying to get out, and I couldn't get out, and he did me a good one. So now I'm running outside, I'm bleeding, and I see some people on the block and everything, and they said, Brenda, what happened? What happened? I said, look. Now, when I said that, look, I'm getting my lie ready. You know, they gave me a little pause. I said, look, I'm coming down the street and these two guys tried to rip me off. They tried to rape me. I was telling my friends this morning, I have never been raped. I have been fondled, but I have never been raped. And you know why? Nobody ever had to rape me. I gave it away. You know what I'm saying? Damn. But anyway, I said, these two guys tried to rape me and I gave them the fight of their life. I can tell people, and I'm supposed to be this bad chick, that a 78, 79, 80-year-old blind man did this to me. How would they, what would they think about this gangster B, supposed to be, you know? So anyway, I had learned enough from the streets that anytime I wanted to get my act together, rethink, regroup, all that stuff, go to detox. And that's what I did. And in detox, they made us go to the meetings. And this guy came in there who was about maybe in his 50s or something like that. I came in, I was 29. This guy must have been in his 50s or 60s. And I heard nothing. I went there only because that particular person brought cigarettes. And the hospital, they gave out Winchesters. So I had nobody to bring me cigarettes. I didn't like Winchester. So I went to the Tuesday night meeting to grab up all the cigarettes I can get. Heard absolutely nothing, I thought. But the seed was planted. But anyway, from there, I went to rehab. And that's where it all began. Again, at this time, I did not have a drug problem. Only problem I had was people, places, and things. In this rehab, I went to rehab on May 10th, 77. I used to May 31st, and while I was in rehab. When I was out there serving that Lord Spirit, I would go to confession just about every Saturday, faithfully, you know, and I would be confessing. I would be lying, crying, snot running, the whole thing. I know now I just wanted somebody to talk to, somebody to listen to me, you know. So when I was going to my first meeting, it was this priest who was an alcoholic, and he was leading the meeting, and he had on his collar. And I was messed up. I had been smoking and drinking, and only thing I saw was that collar. So now I'm ready to confess, okay? So, you know, everybody was nice and warm and loving. Nobody told me to leave. They told me, Brenda, you know, sit down, listen, we'll talk to you after the meeting, you know, and that's what happened. And from that point on, I began to just go to meetings. I was in denial up until my 91st day. Now, while being in this rehab, I saw this man. But first, before I found this man, I had a lot of men in my life. I mean, a lot of husbands. At that point, I had not ever in my life been married. I didn't get married till 93, but I had a lot of husbands. Get me drift? And so these husbands, I think after doing some work, I realized that I gravitated to a husband's that was giving me some kind of power of taking somebody from somebody, you know, and if these people are still living, they're probably still together, you know. But anyway, I saw this guy, and he was short, still is, bow-legged, still is, and slew-footed. Now remember, especially ladies, remember, like, well, I don't know, you're young. Back in my day, if a guy was slew-footed and bow-legged, it's on. It's on. It's on. I found out that could be a lie. So guys, if you're short and you're bow-legged, it's a myth. It's definitely a myth, okay? But see, that's how we women back then kind of sized guys up. Today, I think they're sizing the guys up by the shoe size, okay? Okay, but anyway, hey, this ain't beat no guys. So I'm just telling you how some of us women were thinking, you know. So anyway, this guy, we would be in the cafeteria. He would pull the seat up to me, real gentleman and everything, right? I was so love-starved that anybody that was nice to me, any man that was nice to me, I thought it was love. I thought they wanted me. So this guy would do all these things, and we got it on. We hooked up. And he gave me an ultimatum that I had to stop using, because while I was in this rehab the first few weeks, I tell you, I'm still using. So he told me, he said, Brenda, if you want to be with me, you have to stop using. I stopped. He continued another 11, 12 years, but I stopped. And so I see my higher power was working through him for me, for my good. So anyway, we would be in the meetings like I see sometime today. I was sitting, rubbing his back, rubbing his head. He's bald-headed today, rubbing his head, rubbing his back. I want all y'all to know that was my man, okay? I'm looking at the men who was looking at him. I'm looking the women who look, this is my man, okay? So that's how it went, and we got kicked out of there. I got pregnant and stuff like that, got kicked out of there and started on our own. And that's when my recovery really, really began. In New York, when we got 90 days, they would have us to share our story, okay? And we didn't have to wait a year or two before we could share the story. They got us busy right away. And I was sharing my story. I had lied about having kids. Everybody that was my age at that time had kids. As a matter of fact, my friends today, from back in the day, my kids are their grandkids' age. And I had my first kid till I was 30. So anyway, we playing house and everything. Now, the spiritual growth started when me and this guy, I was really able to look back and see it now. It started when we left that program. Now, all of my focus was on him, trying to get him better, but I didn't pick up. I did not pick up, He was my main focus and everything. I did not pick up. I buried myself in meetings. And we just kept it moving. And we went on, for 6.5 years with him using. I didn't pick up. At that point, I was able to let go and let God, he bottom out, and we just went full circle, So I'll be, in May, I'll be 42 clean. And in May, it'll be 42 years that we've been together. Now, anybody new out there, don't think that your story will turn out like mine if you find your man in treatment, okay? Okay? Because I went through pure hell in that relationship. Not me, not knowing how to be in a relationship with me, didn't have one with my God, and stuff like that. But for the grace of God, I did not pick up, So it kind of worked out. Spiritual growth for me, there's an example. There's so many examples. I was at the airport one time going to Florida on a Legion, and a Legion let you take the, carry-on bag for free. So same bag I brought down here, my little white gym light bag. I had that bag packed, right? So at the GPS airport, they have these little cubicles down there that you put your bag in, and if it fit in that cubicle, it'll fit under the seat. So I got up this morning, headed to the airport, so excited and everything, didn't pray, routine broken, didn't pray or nothing. So I put my bag in there, it didn't fit, so I go and sit down, try to rearrange things, and it still didn't fit. I tried it a third time, it still didn't fit. So the lady said, Miss Ballinger, that's my last name. I can tell you that. Ballinger. Okay. And said, Miss Ballinger, the bag is not gonna fit. You're gonna have to pay $100, $50 each way, you know. So I went back, tried again, right? So this time, as I started back to rearrange this bag, I prayed. Quick prayer. Help me, right? At that moment, I turned around, went back over to that cubicle, set my bag on the floor, took some things out of it, then set the bag down in there, and then put my stuff back in there. Lady see me doing all this, right? Know what she said? Miss Ballinger, you're good to go. All I had to do was pray, was humble myself and pray, you know. Ask and you shall receive, and I did that. I received. There, I have a sponsor in Toledo. There was a domestic issue in her case where she killed the husband, right? She was exonerated and everything. Everything was reported. But at that moment, I knew that I needed to be there with her. So it was on a Saturday. I'm on the computer all day long trying to find some good fares. And you know, getting something at the last minute is high. So everything I see is like 400 and up round trip, like 450 and up round trip. So I'm trying off and on all day because things keep changing. So again, later on that afternoon, the last time I tried, it was like 3 in the afternoon after trying off and on all morning. I get back on the computer and this little drop box had came down and it said, you've been away, something like, you've been gone too long or something, you gotta do it over. And then I'm saying they got some nerve trying to rush me to spend my money, okay? So anyway, I hit it, and guess what? I got a round trip for less than $300, round trip. I said, wow, my higher power is talking to me through the computer, you know? Now, these little spiritual experiences, you know, and, you know, did nothing but just enhance my spiritual growth, you know, and I'm able, it used to be where the growing spiritually, I was able to see it later, you know, and today, mostly I'm able to see the spiritual growth as it's happening, you know, it's just getting clearer and clearer and clearer, you know, and I know the difference in the two spirits, that's for sure. You know, that Lord spirit said, Brenda, hey, look, you don't have to do this. You don't have to, don't go to meetings. You don't have to talk to your sponsor. Hey, talk to your sponsor once a year, girl. You got 41 years, you know, and stuff like that, you know. And if I sit there and entertain him, by the way, I had gotten a female sponsor a while back. And when she died, she had 40-something years. But it didn't work out because when I would talk to her, she would always tell me, well, Brenda, you've been here, you know what to do, you know. And this addict, if you tell me something like that and I listen to it long enough, I'm going to believe it. I'm going to believe that I got it and I know what to do. Okay, so that didn't work out with me or her. And so anyway, I'm able to tell the difference in these spirits today. So another experience, oh, there's just so many, you know, and my higher power talks to me through people. Somebody said it before, I heard it a few minutes ago or yesterday one, that God works through people, places, and things. I think that was today, you know, and that's how it happens in my life. When I was working, I worked in the recovery community too, 37 years as a therapist. And that will, it can be dangerous. It could have been dangerous for me if I hadn't consciously been practicing strengthening my humility, you know, because when I first got into the field, the interviewer asked me on my very first job, asked me, well, Brenda, you know, what will you be doing to help yourself after dealing, you know, with people all day long? I said, well, making my meetings and I'm in therapy. Now, what kind of job can you get to tell your interviewers, your potential bosses, that you're going to be okay because you're going to be making your meetings and you in therapy? That nailed it. That therapy nailed it. All they wanted to know was that I knew how to take care of me, you know, and that's what I did, you know. So the job that I retired from, I was stealing. I always stole from jobs, but I was in denial because it was pins or paper clips or rubber bands, you know, so it was okay. 5 minutes. Okay, so I'm stealing these cookies and stuff like that. And then, oh yeah, they were cookies. They were cookies. And I got real bad at it. I had told a sponsee that had 3 years at the time. I said, well, today I got a bag full, you know, and stuff like that. She said, sponsor, something wrong with that. She said, maybe you should do another 4th step. Thought about it. I said, okay. I said to her, we on the phone. And I kept on talking. She said, sponsor. She said, maybe we should start at step 1. No, she said, maybe you need to go back to step 1. So I said, okay. Now, during that time, this was about 7 years ago. So during that time, I was in between sponsors. So I got her to take me through the steps. She took me through the steps. And this is how this thing goes. It's a two-way thing. Now, had I not had any humility, how you with 3 years gonna tell me what I need? How you with 3 years going to take me somewhere? You know, one thing I practice real hard in this fellowship, and it's not hard anymore because of my age now and stuff is just embedded in me. Without humility, I have nothing. Humility is the foundation of all the spiritual principles. I can't be honest, open-minded, willingness, or nothing if I'm not humble, you know, and I'm humble to this process, you know, and sometimes, let me know when we get to 2. Okay, so sometimes, you know, people with time, people will be doing this stuff too, you know, and, you know, I let them know, please don't do that to me. That offends me. You know, I am not the higher power. The higher power gets all the honor and the glory. Not me. Don't bow to me. You know, now when I was out there, yeah, because I was it, you know, but not today. You know, I know where my everything comes from, you know, and that's who gets all the honor and the glory. I'm just another recovering addict. So if there's anybody new out there, and this event is so good for me because in my tri-state area, me and one guy have more time than me. And in my immediate area, I have the most time. And it is such an honor to meet and fellowship with somebody and hear somebody with more time than me. Because sometimes you feel so lonely. I can feel so lonely, you know, and it's such an honor, you know, to meet these people. So newcomers, keep coming. It works if you work it. But guess what? It works if you don't work it. It just won't work for you. Thanks for letting me share.